The mind and the sense organs do not have consciousness of their own, Vedanta says. It is the witness consciousness, the sākṣī, the witness consciousness which we arrived at in the last two classes. That witness consciousness shining on the mind becomes the reflected consciousness. And that reflected consciousness illumines the mind. And the sense organs borrow consciousness from the mind. And the body now borrows consciousness from the sensory system. To the point that the sensory system functions, the Upanishad says, ānakāgrāt, I have spread myself up to the tips of my fingernails. I have spread myself up to the tips of my fingernails. Up to this point, I am. We all feel that right now. Beyond this, I am not. This is me, this is not me. How does that work? Because this body is conscious. Where did the body get consciousness from? Does it belong to the body? No, it does not belong to the body. How do you know it does not belong to the body? Because sometimes the body is conscious, and when the body dies, or when we fall unconscious, the body loses consciousness. It does not act as a conscious being anymore. So the body does not have its own consciousness. You see, there is this concept of intrinsic consciousness and borrowed consciousness. What's the difference? Borrowed consciousness is that which comes and goes. Intrinsic consciousness is that which stays. A very simple example would be when we cook. The fire is burning, and we put a vessel on the fire, and we put water in the vessel, and we put vegetables in the water. After some time, the vegetables are hot. They get boiled. So the vegetables, the heat of the vegetables, the heat in the vegetables, does it belong to the vegetables? If it did, it would always be hot. But if you switch off when you serve it, put it out there, very soon the vegetables are cold. So the heat does not belong to the vegetables. When they were in the refrigerator, they were cold. And in the pan, they are hot. When you serve them out, after some time, they become cold. So it becomes cold because the heat in the vegetables was borrowed. Borrowed from what? From the boiling water. Does the water have heat of its own, intrinsic heat? No. Because it was cold earlier, now it's boiling. And after some time, it will become cold again. Therefore, it has borrowed its heat. Where has the water borrowed the heat from? From the pan, which is red hot. Does the pan have heat of its own? No. It's borrowed its heat. Where has it borrowed its heat from? From the fire. And the fire, where has it borrowed its heat from? It has heat of its own. As long as the fire lasts, it will be hot. It has intrinsic heat. Whenever the fire is there, it is hot. Consciousness is borrowed in the body from the sensory system, the nervous system. And the sensory system has borrowed consciousness from the mind. And the mind has borrowed consciousness from the reflected consciousness. And the reflected consciousness is borrowed from the sākṣī, the witness consciousness. And the witness consciousness is borrowed from nobody. It is intrinsic consciousness. It is consciousness itself. It's always there. It's always consciousness. Whereas the mind and the sensory system lose consciousness. In deep sleep, not conscious. And in death, when the mind, the subtle body goes away to other worlds, maybe to other births, then the body lies dead. No longer do we say, that is me. We don't say that. So, the body has borrowed consciousness from the sensory system from the mind, from the reflected consciousness in the mind, and the reflected consciousness is borrowed from the witness consciousness, the sākṣī, which we are. We lend consciousness to this, and then up to the tips of my fingers, I say, I am conscious. That accounts for the difference between this body and this microphone. Though this body is an object of experience, this microphone is also an object of experience. What causes confusion is there is consciousness in the body. That's why we feel, I am this body. But the fact is, I am not this body.